I felt it was important for you to know who I am, what sets me apart from anyone else in this coaching world, and where it all started, where I'm from, and how I got here, and where this passion to help kids, people started. So let's dive into all that. As a parent, you've probably heard countless claims like, I can fix your kid, help them be better, and stop the struggles they're battling. Worse than even hearing all those claims, your child is probably tired of talking about the same garbage with everyone. They want someone different. You need something better. Now, if this is your first introduction to me, let me tell you, I'm not famous. I didn't write a bunch of books on child psychology or do a bunch of lectures around the globe. I did something more effective. You see, I didn't want to spend endless years theorizing about change. I didn't want to sit in an office chair talking about problems that really never get fixed. I've been quietly working in my lab for the last 30 plus years face to face with kids, teens, and eventually adults who were too shy to look me in the eye, shivered with nervousness because they were too timid or terrified, and the voiceless youth that clung to their safety net because they didn't have the courage to stand up for themselves. I want to be in the trenches, fighting the battle alongside these warriors to see them win it. Instead of running from or avoiding their own fears or doubts, they face them and fight them. Through training and practice, they got the tools to change their mindset, build momentum, and shift the direction of their life. They no longer carried unfinished business around. They found clarity, built confidence, and created behaviors that delivered positive results. They made themselves into someone and they learned to handle any situation or setback without spiraling into darkness. They started with nothing and left with a specialized skill set that they could use in all areas of their life, even as they grew and life changed. So let me take you on a journey because this wasn't how it started. When I graduated high school, I was directionless. Now, this is no fault to my parents, teachers, coaches, counselors, or anyone. They all tried their best. I knew I wanted something, but I didn't know what that something was. I didn't want to chase off to college. I wasn't looking to find a career path, and I definitely wasn't thinking about settling down or starting a family. I'd always been shy, timid, and soft-spoken, and I never really tried to be a leader or bring attention to my existence. I didn't know who I was or what I was capable of. I was just a follower who was sick and tired of following what everyone else was telling me to do or pointing me in a direction to go. I wanted to lead my own life, create my own path, and follow my own interests. I always had this fascination since the age of 5 with martial arts. But it wasn't the kicking, blocking, or punching that captivated me. It was the magical side of something deeper that drew me into the training. It was this unseen world that I could explore and discover things in that only a few ever experience. Those few became like the Jedi in Star Wars. Powerful. Not powerful to use against anyone, even though you could, but powerful because you got a deeper understanding of yourself. You no longer lived with fear or doubt or uncertainty. You created a total alignment of all parts of you. This connection put you in touch with yourself, your past, and your future. You live, you have purpose, and you find happiness without feeling regret or resentment. So I went down to the only local martial arts school in my little town in Dickinson, North Dakota, and enrolled myself in martial arts at 18. That September day over 30 some years ago was the start of my Jedi training. I spent about 2.5 years there until I realized that my instructor wasn't the master I wanted to continue with. His views were shallow. The only thing he wanted to teach was the sport of martial arts or fighting. He wasn't interested in anything other than money or having you test for belts to make more money. Now, don't get me wrong, I started in classes to learn how to fight, but it was the exploration of myself that helped me craft a system that changed the direction and ultimately lives of students who embark on this with me. Let me segue real quick and tell you why this quiz assessment is useful for you. If you went to the police and asked them to investigate a crime, who would you want? An investigator who assumed you were like all other cases that landed on their desk, there was no real investigation work done, they just assumed that all humans are the same and blew you off. Or worse, just told you to keep your doors locked? Or do you want a very good investigator assigned to your case? Someone who is going to unearth all the evidence, hunt for all of the facts, search for all possible suspects, and find the one person of interest that fits the crime. When it comes to us experts helping you help your child, most just fit the first investigator. They just assume all humans are the same, provide you with the same generic process. What you'd hope would happen if they were trying to help your child with a particular problem is to investigate, hunt, uncover and find the one thing that would help fix it. That's why I created this assessment quiz. It's a way to help you investigate what growth stage your child is in. Without knowing this, you can't possibly know who can help or who cannot help. This initial investigation does two useful things for you. Number one, it gives you a snapshot of where your child is and what stage they are in. Two, that snapshot gives you an early report to begin looking for the right suspect for your child. I'm not even saying at this time that anything I have will help. And you might find out that I definitely am not the right person for your family. If you find that out, then you are already miles ahead. You can only discover a snapshot of where your child is so you can have a better direction to point for help. That help might not come from anyone except yourself. This quiz gives you a launching pad of sorts to know where to start. There are no upsells, cross-selling, or downselling that happens. You take the quiz, you enter your details for the full report, get it and read it, and then we get to know each other from there. If you choose, you can leave my little world at any time. To start the quiz, simply click the button. Okay, back to my story. With no other prospects to chase after leaving the martial arts school, I joined the Marine Corps. I figured there wasn't much for me anymore in my hometown, so I needed to get out and spread my wings. The Marine Corps is like modern day Sparta. You learn an ethos, you are made into a warrior, and you get to be part of a small but very close-knit fellowship. After basic training, I continued to train at various different martial arts schools. But truthfully, I was wandering. I had no home. And a warrior without a home is essentially directionless. Being directionless is dangerous. It can lead you down many dark paths. And that's what was happening to me until I found a new home. I always had this dream to be on a martial arts team when I joined martial arts in the first place. And I had this opportunity to try out for a newly formed all-Marine Corps Taekwondo team. After a rigorous full-day tryout with about 70 other Marines, I was one of the few 15 selected. That's where I met retired Gunnery Sergeant Master Luis de la Rosa. Let me tell you, there was and never will be anyone like him. He had been who I was searching for my whole martial arts teacher journey life. He made me think. He pointed directly at what needed to be addressed. He made me find myself. I didn't even know that I didn't know what I needed. I came there with the hopes to be on this once-in-a-lifetime team, and I left with direction, purpose, and clarity of action. I was introduced to a way, and that way turned into my passion to help others uncover their true self, find confidence and clarity that leads to action, and discipline towards direction in life. Now, even though I was already teaching these skills 3 months into my own martial arts training as an assistant instructor at my first school, it wasn't until after this Marine Corps experience that I started working in my lab. There, I tested, retested, and refined my methods every single day. I wanted to make sure that I had enough of a test group to call what I did effective. Not a guarantee, but useful. I wanted to make sure the skill sets could be used anywhere, under any condition, in any situation. But to do this, I needed to find the worst of all cases. I wanted them to have completely different backgrounds. I wanted them to have gone to countless other coaches. If they had been to multiple therapists, that was even better. And I wanted them to have tried everything. I didn't always get the worst cases, but I did find more than I expected. Then I got to work. In the beginning, I was failing. They were coming in and leaving with nothing useful at all. I knew what I had gone through, and I knew how my life changed because of what I studied, done, and shared with others. So why wasn't I able to replicate the same in others? That's when a light bulb flipped on. It wasn't just a single element of my training that shifted my direction. It wasn't just martial arts. It was a combination of elements that needed to be included in order to create the chemical change that led to confidence in oneself, courage to live with passion, and discipline to find success. That's when I started adding the warrior training element, the intellectual element, and the spiritual awakening element. Almost overnight, my classroom morphed into something powerful. That's when I started building powerful kids. That's where my cognitive adaptability method was created. In a 45-minute training session, I started shifting beliefs, building behaviors, and delivering outcomes that led to incredible results. That's where I started unleashing the inner muscle, medicine, and magic in each and every single one of my students. What was once something I found no longer belonged to just me. It was something that belonged to everyone I could impact through their training with me. That's how I got to helping an estimated 10,000 plus students over the last 34 and counting now years. But get this, there was one other group I privately worked with in my lab. These were the high-strung energy bunnies labeled ADD or ADHD kids. Both these types of kids were on the same path. They just didn't know it. Where the shy, timid kids were struggling with confidence and courage, The bouncing off the wall kids were struggling with focus and concentration. Both can be improved with the same method. My worst case student was AJ. Now, he was about 8 when his parents enrolled him. He couldn't stand still for longer than 5 seconds, and then he'd be off in his own little world. I could understand AJ because I was the same at that age. In my case, it led to being diagnosed with a learning disability. Now, every day AJ came into class, I would challenge him the whole 45 minutes. I never let up. That's until one day his mother had a one-to-one chat with me. She asked me if I would go easier on him because she was afraid I was breaking his spirit. So I obliged, since she was sitting through class watching the whole time. Instantly, he went back to bouncing off the walls, learning nothing useful. But she got pulled out of the classroom to keep her younger son from destroying the place. With mom gone, I got back to work. For the next 3 years, AJ and I had an understanding. He learned how to harness his energy and use it in a way that led to success in his life. After about a total of 6 years of training with me, he headed into other interests. A couple years later, he ran up to me while I was standing in a Home Depot aisle. Excited to see me, he said, "Master Jason," in a deeper voice than what I've known him to have. "I want to thank you for never letting up on me and teaching me what you taught me about focus. It has been your lessons and that one thing I believe that has given me the power to make it on my school's rowing team. And it was my first attempt." We talked for a while about his journey on the rowing team, and that's about the time his father surprisingly found him talking to me. He was so excited as well to tell me about how much he's taken from the classes and put it into use. What this gave AJ was the power over his life, the confidence to know what steps to take to reach any goal he set. Now, I'm not under the delusion that I can help every student. There are some times when the timing is never right, or maybe I'm never the right coach. So I'll leave you with this. If you went to a doctor and they didn't take the time to ask you anything and just prescribed you some medicine without any diagnosis, would you take it? They just said, "Here, take this, it cures everything." You probably wouldn't. And if you did, it probably wouldn't help. It most likely would cause more harm, unless it's harmless or some placebo. But that's what most experts do with parents when it comes to helping their child. They simply prescribe you to do this or use this or take this without ever diagnosing the issue, challenge, or problem. And when they do diagnose, most prescriptions are a one-size-fits-all solution. You need something unique to your child's problem. Unless the doctor knows more about the ailment, they can't decide what to do next, and neither can you. I'm not saying I'm a doctor, and I'm definitely not a therapist. And at this point in our relationship, I can't say what I can or cannot do. I can assure you, no matter if someone spends 45 minutes with me, 4 months, or 4 years, they'll get something powerful to use in their life. That's why I created this assessment quiz. It's a starting point for parents. It does 2 useful things for you. Number 1, it gives you a snapshot of where your child is and what stage they are in. And number 2, that snapshot gives you an early diagnosis to begin looking for the right medicine for your child. I'm not even saying at this time that anything I have will help. I can't guarantee my program helps anyone, and you might find out that I definitely am not the right person for your family. If you find that out, then you are miles ahead. This quiz gives you a launching pad of sorts to know where to start. There are no upsells, cross-selling, or downselling that happens. You take the quiz, you enter your details for the full report, you get it and read it, and then we get to know each other from there. If you choose, you can leave my little world at any time. To start the quiz, simply click the button on this page.